Okay, be honest with me. Have you ever sat there and thought to yourself, why do I keep doing this? Like, you literally just made a promise to yourself. You said that you wasn't going to do that again. You wasn't going to do that anymore. But then you go right ahead and do it again. Maybe you told yourself, I'm not going to let people walk all over me again. I'm going to set boundaries and actually stick to them. And then what happened? Someone crossed them. They crossed the line again. They do the very thing that you just said that you wasn't going to allow them to do anymore. But instead of speaking up, you make excuses for them. Oh, they didn't mean it like that. Maybe I'm being too sensitive. So you let it slide. And guess what? They do it again. Now you're sitting here drained, frustrated, wondering why no one respects your boundaries. When deep down you know the real reason. The real reason they're not respecting you and not respecting your boundaries because you didn't hold them to it. You didn't hold yourself to it. Or maybe it's something as simple as you trying to take better care of yourself. You tell yourself, all right, I'm going to wake up early, journal, pray, take time to connect with myself in the morning. But what happens? You stay up all night. You stay up to 3 a.m. on social media, strolling. Talk on the phone, watching random YouTube videos, and now it's 5 a.m. Your alarm going off, and you're hitting the snooze button because your body is exhausted. And you tell yourself, it's all right. I'll just start tomorrow. But tomorrow comes, and the same thing happens over and over again. Why? Why do we do this? Why do we say we want better, but then turn around and sabotage it? And more importantly, how do we stop it? That's what we're talking about today. Because I need you to understand that you are not crazy. You are not lazy. There is a reason why you keep getting in your own way. Today, we're going to break it all down for you. But before we dive into that, I want to welcome you back. For those who are new here, hi, and welcome to a Sisters Love podcast. And I'm so happy to see you here. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy that you chose me today. And I want to introduce myself. Hi, I am Rose Jones, and I'm your host here. I'm just one woman with one voice, healing and helping other women heal. This is a space where we help women feel safe in their healing journey, love themselves, and create generational healing. Did you hear what I said? We create what? Generational healing. So if you've been searching for a sisterhood that's judge-free, supportive, and real, then you are in the right place. I would love for you to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode of a Sister Love podcast. And oh yeah, don't forget to join our Facebook group. It's called Sister Let's Heal Together, where we take these conversations deeper and support each other beyond the podcast.
Welcome to A Sister's Love, the podcast that helps women who are healing by having those deep conversations, giving practical advice and words of encouragement. Come on, let's talk about it.
All right, let's start here. Self-sabotage is not random. It's not just a bad habit. It's actually a form of protection. Your mind is always trying to keep you safe. That's its number one job. But here's where things get tricky. Your mind doesn't care if something is good for you or bad for you. It only cares if it's familiar. And for a lot of us, struggle is familiar, right? Dysfunction is familiar. Chaos is familiar. So when we start moving towards something different, something like peace, something healthy, something better, our minds see it as a risk. What does your brain does when it perceives a risk? It tries to pull you back to what it knows. Examples of how this plays out is you finally meet someone who treats you right, but it feels too good to be true. So you start pushing them away before they can hurt you first. You start making progress in your healing, but instead of celebrating it, you start second guessing yourself, wondering if it's real. Another example, you commit to changing your lifestyle, but the moment you start feeling uncomfortable, you go back to your old ways, even though you know they don't serve you. This is why self-sabotage is so sneaky, because it feels like you're just being realistic, like you're just playing it safe, but really you're just afraid of stepping into something different. So if self-sabotaging is really about fear of the unknown, then why do we keep holding on to the very patterns that are hurting us? Why does letting go feel so hard? Let's talk about it. Okay, so we know that self-sabotage comes from fear, but let's go a little deeper. Why are we so afraid of letting go? Because a lot of the things that we struggle to let go of, the overworking, the people pleasing, the shutting down emotionally, at some point in our life, those things protected us. They kept us safe. Think about it. If you grew up in a household where speaking up got you in trouble, staying silent became your safety. If you learned that love has to be earned, you became a people pleaser, so no one would leave you. If you grew up feeling like you had no control, you start overworking, micromanaging everything to feel like you had some control over something. These were just bad habits. They were survival skills. So now when healing asks you to let go of them, it doesn't feel like change. It feels like you're losing a piece of yourself. How does this show up in your healing? You struggle to rest because your worth was always tied to being productive. You feel guilty for setting boundaries because in the past, love was conditional. You shut down emotionally because at one point it was safer than feeling everything at once. This is why letting go feels so hard. It's not just about changing behaviors. It's about breaking the identity that was built around those behaviors. And that's what takes time. It's going to take a little time, maybe a lot of time. So now that we understand why we sabotage ourselves, how do we actually stop? Let's talk about that now.
Hey, beautiful. Let's take a quick break and let's talk about something I think might help you right now. There was a point in my healing journey where I had to be real with myself. What I was doing wasn't working. I felt emotionally off balance. I kept hitting the same wall. No matter what I tried, I felt stuck. And when I finally sat with it, I realized I didn't feel safe. Not in my body, not in my emotions, and not even within myself. That's when everything shifted, because I finally understood that the lack of safety was the reason I couldn't move forward. And if you feel that way, like something is missing in your healing, I want to introduce to you my workbook collection, Healing a Survivor. It is built around my 3-step framework called Safe With Me, and it breaks it into micro steps to help you create safety, find stabilization, and reconnect with yourself. If you're in a place where nothing is working and you know something is missing, I want you to give my collection a try. Click the link in my show notes.
So we know that self-sabotage is really fear in disguise. We know that it's not about laziness, it's not about discipline, it's about protecting yourself from something that feels unfamiliar. But how do we stop it? Like, how do we actually break that cycle? Because let's be real, knowing why you sabotage yourself doesn't automatically make it stop. Awareness is powerful, but awareness without action just leaves you stuck, right? You can recognize the patterns all day, but if you don't do something different, you're just going to keep repeating it. So let's go into how do we actually move past self-sabotage? How do we start making choices that align with the person that we say we want to become? We're going to start with catching ourselves in the moment. The first thing we're going to do, we have to catch ourselves in the act, because most of the time self-sabotage happens on automatic. You don't even realize you're doing it until after the fact you already pushed people away, until you already quit something that you cared about, until you already let yourself fall back into these old cycles. So the goal here is to start recognizing it in the moment, to be able to stop yourself before you go back to the same old thing. For example, let's say you've been making progress in setting boundaries, but someone in your family, maybe a family member, a friend, push back against them. Suddenly you feel old urges creeping in, the urge to soften your boundaries, to make excuses for them, to put their feelings ahead of your own. Instead of just going along like you always do, I want you to pause, take a deep breath, ask yourself, I'm about to undo my own progress right now. I'm about to shrink myself just to make someone else comfortable. In that moment, you have two choices. You can either repeat the cycle, or you could do something different. Listen, I know doing something different is uncomfortable. It's going to feel weird at first. It's going to feel wrong because your mind is still learning that choosing yourself is safe. But more you catch yourself in these moments, the more power you'll take back. Now, the next thing we're going to do is separate your thoughts from the truth. Listen, just because you think something doesn't mean that it's true. The voices in your head is telling you that you're going to fail. This isn't going to work. You don't deserve this. That's not true. That's just fear talking. That's just old conditioning trying to pull you back into a place that feels familiar. So, the next time you catch yourself thinking, this isn't going to last, I'm not capable of real change, I'm always going to be like this, I want you to stop and ask yourself, is this actually true? Or is this just fear trying to keep me in the same place? Because most of the time it's just fear, and fear might feel real, but it's not always right. And if you keep letting it run the show, you're never going to step into the version of yourself that you're meant to become. Now let's move on to the third one. Make discomfort your new norm. I need you to hear me when I say this. Growth is uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable. Choosing yourself is uncomfortable. Not because it's wrong, because it is new. The first time you set a boundary, it's going to feel awkward. The first time you let yourself rest without feeling guilt is going to feel unnatural. The first time that you decide to walk away from a toxic situation instead of trying to fix it is going to feel wrong. But it is not wrong. It is just different from what you are used to. This is where most people get stuck. They think that if this was the right decision, it wouldn't feel weird. But that's not true. Discomfort doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It means that you're doing something different. It means that you're breaking a pattern. It means that you're stepping into something new. And that's what exactly where support is going to be. And number 4, stop waiting for the right feeling and just start doing. Let me tell you something. If you wait until you feel ready to change, you're going to be waiting forever. Because here's the truth. Your feelings are not always going to match your healing. Some days you're going to wake up and not feel like doing the work. Some days you're going to feel like nothing is changing. Some days you're going to question any and everything. But healing isn't about waiting for the right feeling. It's about making the right choice, even when you don't feel like it. That means showing up for yourself, even when you doubt yourself. That means choosing better habits, even when your mind is telling you to go back to what is comfortable. That means trusting that the version of you on the other side of this process is worth fighting for. All right, let's bring it all together. Self-sabotage isn't about being lazy. It's about being weak. It's about your mind trying to protect you from something new. But just because something is unfamiliar doesn't mean it's dangerous. Just because something is uncomfortable doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. The way that we stop self-sabotaging our healing is by catching ourselves in the moment and choosing something different. Separating our thoughts from the truth, because fear lies, okay? 3, leaning into discomfort instead of running from it. Just lean into it. Lean into it. Number 4, taking action even when you don't feel like you're ready. Healing isn't about feeling motivated every day. It's about making choices that align with the person that you want to become, even when it's hard, even when it feels weird, even when your mind is trying to pull you back to what is familiar, because you deserve to break the cycle, that you deserve to stop fighting yourself. You deserve to be free. So next week, we're going to be talking about something I know so many of us need to hear. What if healing didn't have to feel like a struggle? Because let's be real, some of us have been making this healing journey way harder than it needs to be. We've been exhausting ourselves, rushing and pushing ourselves too hard, thinking that if we're not struggling, that we're not really healing. But what if healing could be something different? Something gentle, something that doesn't require you to burn out in the process. That's exactly what we're going to be unpacking in the next episode. So if you've been feeling drained, if you've been wondering why healing feels like another battle instead of a process that actually nurture you, so make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss this episode. And if today's episode spoke to you, and I would love for you to share it with somebody, I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, come join the conversation in our Facebook group called Sister Let's Heal Together. This is a space where we go deeper, unpack the work, and support each other through this process. And just let you know that you're not alone. I got your back. Until next time, take care of yourself. Signing off, your sister Do Love, Rose. Bye.